In the middle of a barren desert, far from cities, far from questions, sits a facility so powerful. It doesn't just store information. It remembers everything, every message, every search, every move. And most people have no idea it even exists. This isn't a theory. This is real. It's called the Utah Data Center. Built and operated by the National Security Agency, it spans over 1 million square feet, massive cooling systems, layers of security, enough computing power to process unimaginable volumes of data. But the question isn't what it is. The question is why it needs to exist at all. Because according to official statements, it's just a storage facility, a place to support national security, to help prevent threats before they happen. That's the explanation. But if you look closer, the scale doesn't match the story. This isn't just storage. This is infrastructure built for something far bigger. The Utah Data Center wasn't constructed quietly. It was announced, budgeted, and reported. Billions of dollars allocated, a massive project out in the open. And yet, almost nothing about its true capability has ever been clearly explained. Only fragments, hints, and contradictions. Because experts who've studied the facility don't describe it as just a data center. They describe it as a central hub, a place designed to collect, process, and store vast streams of global communication. Not targeted, not selective, everything. Think about that. Not just suspicious activity, not just threats, everything. Emails, calls, financial transactions, social media, metadata, patterns, the raw blueprint of human behavior. And here's where things get uncomfortable. Because data by itself isn't power, understanding it is, which means the real question isn't just what's being stored, it's what's being done with it. Behind the walls of that desert facility are systems designed to do more than archive information. They analyze, they connect, they predict. Patterns you don't even know you're creating, mapped in real time. Behavior you think is random, categorized and tracked. Decisions you haven't made yet, modeled. Because when you collect enough data, something changes. You stop reacting, you start anticipating. And anticipation is control. Officially, the purpose is defense. Stop threats before they happen. Identify risks, protect national interests. But there's a line no one clearly defines. Where does protection end and surveillance begin? Because the scale of this operation doesn't suggest monitoring a handful of targets. It suggests monitoring entire populations, and not just within one country, globally. Which raises another question. If this is about security, why build something this massive? Why not smaller targeted systems? Why centralize it? Because centralization isn't just efficient, it's powerful. One location, one system, one place where everything connects. And that connection creates something new. Not just information, visibility, total visibility. But here's the part that rarely gets discussed. Storage isn't the hardest problem anymore. Breaking encryption is. For years, encryption has been the barrier, the thing that protects private communication from being easily read or accessed. And yet, reports have surfaced suggesting that facilities like the Utah Data Center aren't just storing encrypted data, they're storing it until it can be unlocked. Not now, later, because technology catches up. Processing power increases, algorithms evolve. What's secure today isn't guaranteed to be secure tomorrow. So what happens when everything you've ever sent, said, or stored digitally is sitting in a vault, waiting to be decrypted? Not erased, not forgotten, waiting. That's not just surveillance, that's time-delayed access to your entire digital life. And it doesn't stop there, because facilities like this don't operate in isolation. They're part of a network. Other data centers, other agencies, other countries, information flowing between systems most people will never see, agreements that aren't fully public, partnerships that don't get headlines. Because in a world driven by data, information isn't just collected, it's shared, quietly, strategically, and sometimes without consent. But here's where things get even more unsettling. Because the existence of the Utah data center isn't hidden. You can find it. You can read about it. You can see images of it sitting in the desert. And yet, it still feels invisible. Why? Because knowing something exists isn't the same as understanding what it's capable of. And capability is where the real story lives. Because when you combine massive data collection with advanced analysis, you don't just get surveillance, you get influence. The ability to understand behavior at scale, the ability to identify trends before they emerge, the ability to shape outcomes without being seen. And that's the shift most people never notice. Control doesn't always look like force. Sometimes it looks like prediction. Subtle, invisible, but incredibly precise. So the question becomes, if a system can map behavior, predict decisions, and monitor patterns across entire populations, is it just watching, or is it quietly guiding? Because by the time something becomes obvious, it's already too late to question it. And out in that desert, behind layers of security, inside a facility built to outlast decades, the system keeps running, collecting, processing, learning, growing, not loudly, not visibly, but constantly. And the more it grows, the less you see it. Because the most powerful systems aren't the ones you notice, they're the ones you don't. So what is the Utah data center really for? A defense tool? A digital archive? Or something far more advanced that we're only beginning to understand? Because if everything is being collected, everything is being remembered. And once something is remembered, it can be used. You be the judge. If you're awake, you already know what to do. Hit the link in our bio and join our free underground newsletter.